Although Alexis Bledel's first major project after the original Gilmore Girls finale was a flop, the underrated movie highlighted just what was missing from the cult dramedis formula. While the entire cast of Gilmore Girls played an indispensable role in the show's success, there were 3 stars who stood out among its ensemble. There is a reason that the series was called Gilmore Girls, as Kelly Bishop's Emily Gilmore, Lauren Graham's Lorelai Gilmore, and Alexis Bledel's Rory Gilmore were its true main characters. Despite their flaws, each generation of the Gilmore family's representative had a major part to play in the overarching story of the series. The family at the center of Gilmore Girls often found themselves at odds with each other, but most of their endless disagreements eventually resulted in much-needed character growth for Emily, Lorelai, and Rory alike. This is why Rory's A Year in the Life story was so disappointing, since the 2016 Netflix miniseries revival revealed that Bledel's static character didn't continue to grow off-screen after the original series finale. 2009's Postgrad was Alexis Bledel's first big post-Gilmore Girls project. The underrated comedy drama underperformed critically and commercially. Postgrad. To make matters worse, the original Gilmore Girls series finale had already hinted at this possibility. Season 7, Episode 22, Bon Voyage, focused on Rory's going-away party as she prepared to take a job covering Barack Obama's primary campaign for an online magazine. Rory's post-college future seemed bright in Bon Voyage, but she couldn't be sure of her success, and she was tired of everyone around her insisting that she would soon be crushing it professionally. In one telling moment of foreshadowing, Rory pointed out to Lane that the town of Stars Hollow had no real reason to assume her success was inevitable and predestined. Frustratingly, this is a theme that Bledel's first post-Gilmore Girls project focused on, but few viewers sought out the underrated movie. 2009's Postgrad was a rom-com from director Vicky Jensen that starred Bledel as an ambitious but luckless graduate whose post-college plans are decimated by the late 2000s financial crash. Like Rory, Bledel's character Ryden is an obsessively focused figure who has methodically planned out her life's progression since childhood. Like Rory, she hoped to transition from a successful stint in college to working in the arts, specifically publishing. Like Rory, Postgrad's heroine is horrified to learn that the world of work is nowhere near as accommodating as academia, and her perfect grades and flawless attendance can't help her when a string of bad luck sees her lost out on a dream job. Postgrad shared a lot of Gilmore Girls' best qualities. Postgrad was a sweet coming-of-age dramedy with quirky supporting characters. Although Gilmore Girls' most controversial plot saw Rory consider dropping out of Yale, the series never committed to this storyline. As such, viewers never got to see what Rory's life was like after she left the institution of higher learning and joined the professional world until A Year in the Life. Fortunately, Postgrad feels a lot like a continuation of Gilmore Girls thanks to its dramedy tone, its quirky cast of supporting characters, the atypical family at its center, and its warm tone. Ryden's romance with Zach Gilford's affable slacker Adam feels like a blend of Rory's relationships with Dean and Jess, as the laid-back Adam is neither as possessive as Dean nor as aggressive as Jess. Instead, he helps Ryden relax and see the lighter side of life, admitting that her ambitious plans have been scuppered but suggesting that this gives her a new level of freedom for her future. Although neither of Rory's Gilmore Girls finales were ultimately centered on her love interests, Postgrad ends with a sweet romantic reunion between the pair. Postgrad highlights the part of Rory's life Gilmore Girls missed. Rory's post-college life could have been dramatic and relatable. Postgrad's stacked supporting cast includes J.K. Simmons, Jane Lynch, Carol Burnett, Fred Armisen, Craig Robinson, and a scene-stealing Michael Keaton as Ryden's father. As such, the movie shares the fun character comedy that made the sadder scenes more palatable in Gilmore Girls. However, what really makes the movie stand out is the fact that Postgrad fills in the blanks from Rory's story between the Gilmore Girls finale and A Year in the Life's beginning. Admittedly, Ryden is close with her quirky father rather than Rory's equally unconventional mother, and she wants to work in publishing rather than journalism. However, the similarities between the two characters make it feel like Postgrad explains what could have happened to Rory after her post-college plans fell through. Much like Gilmore Girls missed Rory's early childhood, the show's ending meant viewers never saw what happened to Rory between Bon Voyage and the arrival of her older, more cynical self in A Year in the Life. Why Postgrad deserved better than its 9% Rotten Tomatoes score. Bledel's flop was a fun if inessential rom-com. Lauren Graham as Lorelai and Alexis Bledel as Rory in Gilmore Girls, custom image by Cesar Garcia. Postgrad was a major flop upon release, earning only $6 million on a budget of $15 million and gaining abominable reviews. Fortunately, the years have been kind to its stars and creators. Screenwriter Kelly Freeman went on to pen the deservedly adored teen classics The Edge of 17 and Are You There God? It's Me, Margaret, while Guilford found late career success with a nuanced, standout central turn in Mike Flanagan's Netflix series Midnight Mass. However, post-grad deserves a reappraisal in light of the disappointing Gilmore Girls revival that arrived almost a decade later. Despite its brutal 9% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, Bledel's star vehicle is certainly no worse than the worst episodes of Gilmore Girls and arguably better than much of A Year in the Life. While Rory and Ryden have their differences, one might even argue that Ryden learning to chill out and focus on the present over her ambitious future plans is a better ending for the character than Rory's canonical fate from A Year in the Life. There is no knowing how Rory's Gilmore Girls arc ultimately ends, but her aimless, frustrated existence in A Year in the Life was a surprisingly bleak update on the show's heroine. If and when another Gilmore Girls revival happens, viewers might get to see Rory end up in a more fulfilling place. However, until then, Alexis Bledel's unfairly maligned post-Gilmore Girls flop is a fine follow-up to the ambiguous finale of the original series.